Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of VENDO Velocity. I am joined here by a very special guest, Bradley Sutton. And for those of you who haven't met Bradley, I'm not sure how you haven't come across him in the industry, given that he is the face of Helium10. So I'm very excited to be hosting Bradley here. I had the pleasure of being on a podcast with Bradley just a few weeks ago and excited to dive into some launch strategies. So if this is your first time joining VENDO Velocity is our weekly live podcast in which we talk about recent Amazon, Walmart, and TikTok shop platform updates and strategy. And no better person to join me today than Bradley himself. So Bradley, for those who somehow haven't met you, it would be great if we could start off with an introduction.
All right. Well, I'm the director of training at Helium10. I've been here about 6 years, but before then I was a consultant for Amazon sellers. So I've launched over 500 products either for myself or for clients. And yeah, I love what I do, being in this space. Can't see myself anywhere else.
And speaking about TikTok shop, Bradley, have you dabbled at all in the TikTok shop world yet?
Not much. Not much. It's funny you mentioned that. Not much on the seller side. I'm gonna start getting some of my products on there, but at my house, I have a warehouse too, and there was a Helium10 Elite member who mentioned that, oh, hey, we just kind of blew up on TikTok Shop. They were actually on the podcast a couple months ago where they talked about how, in their first year of Amazon, which was last year, they did like, I forgot, like maybe 500,000 or something, which was pretty respectable for a new seller. But then they started on TikTok Shop in like December, and they did like something ridiculous. Like they cleared out all their Amazon inventory because they did almost $250,000 in like a week on TikTok Shop. And then they were kind of struggling because that cleared out their Amazon inventory. They didn't have a warehouse. So like, hey, my family works for my Amazon business, and they could use some extra money, some extra income. So if you guys need help, like just pay us as a 3PL to do it. And I guess it was funny. I just sent them the bill for last month, March. They shipped over like, I want to say something like 15, 16, 17,000 pieces.
Wow.
And that was being out of stock. There was days where we were shipping packaging one by one and shipping, post office, 1,500 orders a day on TikTok Shop. So like the potential that platform has is kind of like insane.
Yeah, and it seems on TikTok Shop, everyone is starting to use AI and different softwares to reach out to creators at scale. So very interesting, given the fact that we've seen that with a few brands that we manage on both TikTok Shop and Amazon, that we've had to literally slow down sales on Amazon because it's eating away at our inventory. So I'm sure there are a decent amount of sellers that can relate to that. But that's awesome, Bradley, that you were able to extend a helping hand there. And I'm sure that was super pivotal for their business and kept them in stock for longer. But as far as today's topic, we do want to dive into a few Amazon-specific launch strategies. If you've heard Bradley speak in the past, he, a few years ago, probably at this point, gave a very detailed Maldives honeymoon launch strategy, which was especially helpful for a lot of sellers in the space, not only allowing you to understand how to utilize Helium10 to grow your business, but just overall some tips and best practices around product launches on Amazon. So before we go ahead and dive into it, let's talk about the pre-launch phase. Obviously, Bradley, Helium10 has a suite of tools that are best leverage for pre-launch. So talk to me about that preliminary product research. Which tools are your favorite, and how are you seamlessly bringing together these tools to build more of a roadmap for the pre-launch stage?
Yeah, so I think one of the important things is, even before you're even thinking about your product, is making sure you understand the potential of the category, or the the niche that you're trying to get into. And part of that also helps you with the launch stage. So like um, for example, you know, there's a metric that we have in Helium 10 called title density. Now this is just a made up word, you know, like I think I'm the one who made that up or somebody in the product team. But what it's not something we invented. It's just studying, all right, how many listings on page one have that searched term in the title. And this we found really gives us a good opportunity to kind of like understand for some of the keywords how hard or easy it might be to get on page one. Because like let's say we have a keyword with a title density of like 2 or 3, even though it has, you know, 2,000, 5,000 higher search volume, you could find yourself getting on page one within just like a day or two of launch without even almost anything happening, because that's just how much Amazon favors you know, title optimization. And so that's like something I look at before I launch is, all right, which of my main keywords has a low title density, and now I know that it's not going to take as much for me to get on page one. Another thing I look at beforehand is something that, you know, like we know that strategies like two-step URLs and search find buy is no longer viable on Amazon, but the CPR number that we use in Helium 10 is still something that I look at, because it's still what has to happen in order for to give you the best chance at being on page one. Somebody organically searching, finding, and buying the product after the search of a keyword. Now, there's nothing illegal that has to happen about it. I mean, for years, that's still to this day how the majority of products found in search are bought, and how you get to page one is people. But it's just now, instead of done, you know, using services or special URLs or flows or, you know, chat bots and things like that, you're just doing it through PPC. And so what I do is I prepare, all right, which keywords do I want to launch on? What's the CPR number for them? You know, like how many conversions in PPC, theoretically, if I'm not organically on page one, it's going to have to be PPC. How many conversions do I need to make before I, you know, can feel comfortable that I have a nice chance to land? And so I analyze the CPR, and then at the same time, I'm also seeing, can I stack up any of these keywords? You know, the example I use is part of our Project X. You know, like we were selling an egg tray, and let's just say some of the keywords I noticed is egg tray, wooden egg tray for kitchen, boho wooden egg tray for kitchen. I could say in my title, boho wooden egg tray for kitchen, and try and like really focus on that keyword. And at the same time, I've got like 5 other keywords in there. I've got, you know, boho wooden egg tray. I've got egg tray. I've got wooden egg tray. I've got egg tray for kitchen. Boho, like every single one. If I'm focusing on them at the same time, it means I'm not going to have to convert for as many, you know, using that CPR number, as if I was just doing it on separate times, because they're kind of feeding off of each other. And then the last thing, I mean, there's a number of things I do during pre-launch, but one of the most important things is um I'm I'm sometimes, and this is kind of new-ish, like since the last Molly's honeymoon episode I did a few months ago. A lot of times I'm doing list like a test listing at first. Now, this is not a test listing where I'm trying to like gauge, hey, well, what's the PPC cost going to be? Or, hey, let me validate some idea because there's not enough data. Yeah, I do test listings for that. But I do a test listing sometimes to gauge the relevancy to Amazon. Because, you know, we've all had experiences where we launch a product and then like the first couple of days, sometimes we can't either get indexed for a keyword that even though it's in our listing, or we can't get impressions in PPC, or just weird things are happening where we're converting for it, and we're not moving up in organic ranks and things like that. And a lot of times it's because of a relevancy problem where Amazon might be a little bit confused about the product. You know, one recent, or not recent, well, yeah, kind of recent, the end of last year, uh, I launched these socks that had the message something about coffee on them. Well, I couldn't get like traction. I launched it, but the first few days, like I couldn't even get PPC impressions for my main keywords, which had to do with coffee. It was like coffee, gifts for coffee lovers and things. It was because Amazon was confused. It was like, this is a sock. Why do you need to be relevant for coffee? And so like I had to tweak the listing. I had to like, send some traffic to that keyword just to like make Amazon understand that this is what the product was. And during that time, in the beginning, you're losing part of that honeymoon period. And so you don't want to be doing that on a live listing. So what I do is I try and get all of that out of the way. I'll just do a test listing with a few units, and then I check the relevancy to Amazon using Amazon recommended rank. It's a metric in Cerebro at probably 98% of sellers who use Cerebro don't even pay attention to it. It's probably, in my opinion, one of the most valuable metrics in the entirety of Helium 10. It's kind of like a numerical way that you can see what does Amazon think your product is. And then if I have to do tweaks and stuff, like if those top 20, top 30 keywords that Amazon scores is not really what my product is, it means, all right, Amazon, I need to do something in order to send those signals to Amazon about what my product is. And instead of trying to, test and stuff on a live listing and lose my honeymoon and who knows what else, I'm doing this all on a test listing beforehand. And then now that means when I start my real listing, I already know exactly either what I have to optimize on my listing or what I actually have to do. Sometimes you actually do have to send traffic to it, not trying to search, find, buy, or trying to manipulate, organic rank or anything. No, it has nothing to do with that. It's just like sending these relevancy signals to Amazon. And then boom, on day one of my launch, I know exactly what I need to do.
No, that's a great call. And just out of curiosity, Bradley, I know that there's a lot of talk about Amazon Rufus and just AI now holding a bit more weight, and Amazon really shifting from a generative AI shopping experience where they're going to be recommending certain products to you. So how do you see one AI? I know that you guys just launched your product Launchpad. So if you could talk a little bit about that and how to leverage that for new product ideation. But on top of that, if we're looking at things like Amazon Rufus, something that's going to be assisting customers when they shop and probably recommending a lot of other products to them, how do you see Helium 10 evolving as Amazon prioritizes generative AI a bit more?
Yeah, for me, it's funny because I my opinion differs than other people who I've heard talk about it. Like, I'm not worried at all about it. And first of all, like I'm the last person who likes to do like predictions, like, oh, what's your top predictions for 2025? And this, like none of us really know, like I don't want to set myself up for failure. Like, what are the odds that, like I'm actually going to be right? If somebody forces me to predict something, sure, I'll do it. But I really that's one of the things I hate when people ask me to predict. But that being said, if I were to be forced to predict, yeah, and I could be wrong, of course, but I really don't think that things are going to change that much. Now, what is Amazon going to be using AI more a lot in search to kind of like help the flow? I think so. Like I think, but the traditional way of searching for a keyword that you're thinking of and buying it, like if it's not broke, why fix it? Now,
Mhm.
can it be enhanced? Like can I, instead of typing beach ball, or large beach ball, could it be like, hey, I'm looking for a special, a toy that my 12-year-old children would like, and it doesn't take up much room in the car. Like could I do this big long generative AI thing, and it would be better if I didn't know that I was searching for a beach ball? Of course, I'm sure stuff like that could happen. But here's why I think that the traditional way of research for keywords, regardless if you're using Helium 10 or not, or heaven forbid another tool out there, it's not going to change. Because even if even playing devil's advocate, and Amazon like really changes their search to completely be AI based, which again I don't think is going to happen. Um, well, think about it. Like Amazon still has to understand what your product is in the first place to be able to know what kind of generative AI searches should lead to your product. And how do you let Amazon know what your product is? It's keywords. It's the same exact thing. So could the search interface change down the road? Yes, but is that going to make keyword research irrelevant or things like that? I don't really think so. Now, if anything, like you could start indexing for a lot more things. Like nowadays, it's kind of hard to index for keywords that aren't in your listing. You can do that through PPC, like if Amazon shows you an auto campaign or a broad campaign for a keyword you don't even have in your listing, somebody buys it, then all of a sudden, boom, you're kind of indexed usually for that keyword. Now, that could be greatly expanded with AI potentially, but at the crux of it, Amazon still has to know your product is a water bottle. If you don't have the word water bottle and you're not optimized for what this product is and what its features are, how is the AI even going to know
Right.
what your product is relevant for? So I'm not convinced that, the sky is falling for the way that Amazon sellers have always known how to optimize their listings or to do research for keywords. To me, unless something super, super drastic that I'm not thinking of is going to happen, I think it's going to be business as usual.
Agreed. Agreed. So let's go back to what you were talking about before related to CPR and really trying to understand on a keyword level how many purchases you need for any given keyword. When you look at sellers and speak with them, you probably heard a lot like, how many keywords do I need to be adding to Keyword Tracker? Or how long tail do I really need to be? Where do I start with some of my search volume? Baselines here in terms of, do I start with 1,000? Do I start with 5,000? What is a relevant keyword? Obviously, that's very dependent per category, but do you have a specific viewpoint, Bradley, on how narrow do I get here at the stage of pre-launch? And at what point do I start to expand that keyword base, if at any, to be going after some more of these longer tail keywords?
Yeah, so this is definitely what sellers have to be really thinking out before the launch. You can't just like launch and then it's like, all right, now let me decide what I'm going to do, because you kind of have to optimize even your listing for the keywords that you're going to launch for in the beginning. So this is not like a chicken and egg scenario here. It's no, there is a set order of what is first. And so part of it is about the market you're in, and part of it is about your budget, right? Like when I say the market you're in, there could be some big time keywords for your niche that you might not be launching for in the beginning, because maybe for these keywords you feel that you don't have that competitive of an offer, in that, maybe for those keywords a lot of the existing competitors are more established brands, and or they've got like tons and tons of reviews, and you feel that even if you do have a successful launch to page one, you're not going to stick the landing, or you're not going to stick on there, because your conversion rate's not going to be great, because you just don't stack up well as a newer product. So you might push those aside. So you got to know that before you even get in there. Like, all right, what are my keywords I'm going to launch for? Which are the ones I have the best chance at sticking the landing? And then the other thing is, you could have 30 keywords that you're like, hey, these are all equally important and I can compete on here. By the way, it's just a quick anecdote. It's funny. I do live demos all the time, and for anybody out there who thinks that, oh my goodness, there is no room to, or there's no new products that, like are completely new and everything's saturated. Like I was just doing a random live. It was actually in Spanish. I hate doing demos in Spanish, but I'm like one of the, my Spanish is not perfect, but I was doing it live, not live. It was recorded, with somebody from Spain or Portugal, but it still was in Spanish. I think it was they have a Spanish community, but they're in Portugal. But anyways, we were just picking random things. Like I asked them, all right, tell me what category to search, and I just threw in a couple random things, and we got a product that barely launched like 2 weeks ago, selling 300 units a month, and I had never heard of it before, and its main couple keywords, it was the only product in the entirety of Amazon that hit that keyword. Like it was a completely unique thing that had just been invented or something, right? But stuff like that still exists. But my point is, let's say you have a product like that where it's just like you could get to page one, you could be the only seller for every single keyword that you wanted, but it still is going to be a matter of your own budget and
Mm.
things. You know, like if you if you don't have enough budget to even have the inventory that would support all of those keywords, well, you know, you don't want to just be running out of stock every 3 weeks or every month or something like that. Or hey, if it's going to cost X amount of money to, you know, maybe you're running a discount. By the way, I'm going to talk about something I've noticed recently in the last 3 weeks has changed on Amazon for how we do launches with discounts. But
Yeah.
you know, like if you can't afford to lose that much money in the, you know, and be able to have a 50% discount at first just to get those initial sales, or be able to spend the money that you need to in PPC in order to get you to page one, well, you shouldn't be going after that keyword. So there's no one answer fits all, but you know, like you said, I think that a lot of sellers make the mistake sometimes of not preparing this before. That pre-launch phase is super important, not just the research part of pre-launch, but the planning part of pre-launch. And you know, we have this product launchpad um tool that just came out a couple days ago. It's kind of meant to help a little bit for that. You know, you might have 10 different ideas of product research, and just it allows you a place to kind of like organize your thoughts. And then at the end, it uses AI to kind of like analyze all of the data, all of the keywords that you put in. Hey, what's the trends? What's the sales trends? What's the keyword trends? Hey, you know, how many suppliers do you think you find? And then it gives you this and all your little private notes, and then it gives you a complete summary. But again, this whole process is something that sellers need to focus on. Say, hey, let me just look at this shiny object, and you know, I know I'm just going to succeed, and who knows what I'm going to launch for, and who knows what my budget is, but let's just do it. You know, nah, we should sellers shouldn't be doing stuff like that.
Yeah, and let's go back to something that you had just briefly mentioned around the coupon change. How do you think, Bradley, given the fact that now we won't see sellers because they won't be allowed to launch with aggressive coupons, how is that going to change strategy around discounting specifically and really trying to capitalize on that honeymoon period without being able to offer a discount in the form of a coupon? Because I think that previously, what a lot of sellers did, whether or not they participated in Vine, is they believed that if you put a coupon on your listing, that would help perception with some of these Vine reviewers, because depending on the category, you do get specific feedback around things being too expensive, etc. So while the Viners are getting the product quote unquote for free, as long as that falls within the specific tax levels, then that would help with perception of them not writing a negative review about the product potentially being too expensive because they'd see this coupon. So, Bradley, speak a little bit about that. How do you believe that sellers are going to change that aspect of the pre-launch or the very early stages of the launch phase now that they won't be able to launch an initial coupon?
Yeah, so I haven't tested that myself, but that's how I understand
Mhm.
it to work. It's like, hey, the new policy is that you got to have, you know, like a sales history, you know, and so, um, you know, new products don't have sales history per se, right? So what I'm thinking about now, or the strategy I always use though was sale price. You know, I would set my regular price, or I had a very, you know, clear process. You know, I would set my regular price. I would I would get a couple orders, or just one sometimes at that price right off the bat. I would have somebody lined up, and I'm not trying to do a search, find, buy, or two-step URL or anything. Just hey, I just want to set that baseline to make sure Amazon knows this is a real price. And then I would do like, you know, I would choose whatever price, usually it's 50%, sometimes even more, that I thought I needed to have with 0 reviews, so that people organically would just go ahead and order my product when they see it in PPC after the search of a keyword, which is again what search find buy originally was, except you're not, you know, like trying to send people rebates or anything. But it's like, hey, what price point would people say, I never heard of this product. It's got 0 reviews, although others on this page do have some, but I'll go ahead and buy it because I can't beat this price. And then, you know, as I get sales there, and as my keyword rank goes up, maybe I'll start raising the price a little bit more as I get more reviews. And then by the time I've got a few reviews, I feel comfortable that it can compete just on its own. Now I put it to what my original my target price was. And that's probably what I've been doing since the end of Search Find Buy, which was, I don't know, I forgot how long, 3 years ago or so. But then I launched 3-4 products in the last month, and every single one, the first weird thing was I got my regular order at the regular price, and then usually that would allow me to have a strike through price after 24 or 48 hours. Once I put the lower price, it didn't happen. Or it wasn't 100%, but it was like 80% of the time. That's all I would have to do. Couple orders, regular price, boom, get my strike through pricing. Now, that was the first thing I noticed. I was like, okay, well, that sucks, but whatever, But then I launched something like a couple months ago, middle of February, and everything was the same. Got to page 1 for all my keywords, and started raising the price slowly, back up. Went from I think my target price was like $24.97, and I started at $9.97 because I just felt that there's a lot of competition. The competition was like at $15, $16. What this product is, by the way, is a bat shaped bath mat. It's part of the coffin shelf kind of theme.
Yep.
But mine was the only one, or not mine's, Helium10 Project X's was the only one that has this chenille little strands or whatever you call it, where it's like your foot just sinks in. So I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go for a little higher end here for customers who want their feet to feel more happy in the bath, in their bat shaped weirdness. But anyway, so that's why my target price was more, and that's why I went so low at the beginning, because there's people selling stuff for like $15, $16 that already have like 400 reviews. So anyways, started raising the price. Everything was going great, still selling. And then all of a sudden I hit this spot early too, like $17.97. Again, my target price is $24.97. I already got a couple conversions at $29 to set that baseline. Oh. And I'm only doing sale price. We always knew that, hey, if you change your regular price and try and go up too much, yeah, you'll lose the buy box. Right. Because that's just the way, Amazon doesn't want price gouging, right? Makes sense. I lost the buy box, even with a sale price at like $17 and whatever, 47 or $17.97 or something. I'm like, what in the world? And then when I lost the buy box, I got hit with that, I forgot if there's a name for it, but that 32 rank block where every single keyword that I already got to the top of page 1, it all went to rank 32 and with no buy box. So my conversion rate was suffering because, for non-professional Amazon buyers, it looks like it's out of stock. They don't know how to click on the see more offers and all that stuff. So I was perplexed. I'm like, that never happened before. And this happened across all 4 products. Wow. And then, so I had to take the price back, and I'm like, I got the buy box back. So I rolled it back to $17.27 or whatever it was. I'm like, okay, this sucks. I'm still far away from my price. I don't want to be raising the price 5 cents a day over the next month just to get, or 2 months just to get to my product price. So I was like, let me start experimenting. And I even, I use AZ Rank, who I used to use for search, find, buy back in the day. I still use them for kind of when I need to do market research, where I want 10 random customers to choose what keyword they would use and then give me detailed reports on the other listings. I'll still use them for that service, not for search, find, buy stuff. But I was like, all right, I need 10 people to go buy this. I'm going to actually raise the price all the way back to $24.97. All right. And even though I knew I was going to lose the buy box. All right. So I need these people to go buy the product at $24.97, 10 people. And let's see if that works. That didn't work. I was like, man, I was only selling like 3, 4. So if this is like some kind of rolling average that was calculated every other day, then that should have worked, to have 10 orders to show Amazon, hey, $24.97 is a legit price for this product. And that didn't work. So I'm like, I was perplexed. I'm like, my goodness. So I just went back. I had no choice. I just went back to that $17.27 price. And then since then, I've been raising it little by little, the amount that it would allow me to have the buy box. And I think now I'm up to like $20 or $20.50. But it got me thinking on one other product. A month later, I actually got that strike through price back. So weird. I didn't sell anything at the $29 or whatever I had launched that one at in a month and a half. And then randomly it came back. And that product, even though I started at the same price, I'm up to like $22 or $23 or something like that now on that one. But it got me thinking, if this is not just one of these random tests that Amazon is doing, and I really don't think it's a random test, because it
Yep.
was the same thing happened to be across all 4 of my product launches. Plus, it coincided with the announcement about the no coupons without sales history. So I almost think that Amazon is
Yeah.
considering sale price now, kind of like not wanting you to price gouge there either. But my strategy is going to have to be um, calculating how many units I need. Let's say it's 150 units during launch, or at the what I have to do at the lower price. I'm not going to use the word giveaways, not really giveaways anymore, but how many units do I have to sell at a certain price before I have that, some reviews and stuff like that. And let's just say it's
Mhm.
150. I'm going to have to make 2 SKUs or two variations now, where I send 150 for there, but then I also send my other 300 or 400 and just have it on a closed listing. That's a variation of
Right.
that one. And then it's like, all right, that one, I go ahead and do at my $9.97 and $12.97, $14.97, get those initial reviews, get to page 1, and then hopefully time it where it runs out. And now I switch, I close that original one, or it runs out. And then now I have this other ASIN, this other variation that goes live, that doesn't have that price history of, hey, it used to be $9.97, so we're going to take away buy box, or I can start from day 1 at $24.97 or something. So I'm going to have to test, like, if this thing keeps going, that's going to be my new launch strategy to get around this buy box issue, if I can't figure out another way to save my buy box.
No, that's a great point. And even on the Vendo side, because we have brands that sell across different marketplaces, we often see Amazon even incorrectly price matching to these different marketplaces too. So it seems like buy box as a whole, really over the last year and a half, has been a bigger pain point for sellers, but also a bigger area of focus for Amazon, in which they're really cracking down on pricing rules, both on Amazon and off of it. So that's a great point, Bradley. And I wanted to talk about something that you had said related to closing the listings, because that's especially important for a new fee that actually just got implemented yesterday, being the low inventory fee. I think everyone thought it was an April Fool's joke when Amazon started sending these emails that now we'd be credited for the last month or so, or for the next month or so through April, for any charges incurred for this low inventory fee. So you've heard a lot of talk in the industry about, creating different parent ASINs down the line, because this historical days of supply is all going to be based off of the parent ASIN's historical days of supply. So I'm sure when we look at things like closing listings, creating new variations, etc., that's going to be a bigger area of focus. But talk to me a little bit about how you're preparing for that, Bradley, because some of these fees, I mean, even if you look at small standard, for 0 to 14 days of supply, that's 89 cents per unit. Talk about a $9.97 price point, 89 cents per unit eating at your margin is going to be pretty substantial. So what are your thoughts on these fees, and any tips for sellers on how to get ahead of them?
Yeah, so like that one, I have been waiting to actually see what what it was going to be. And it's kind of good that now I don't have to waste money in my investigation on this. Like Amazon's going to kind of like show us. Because, that's the beauty about working here at Helium10, is like on my non-personal accounts, I'm playing with the house money, like it's not coming out of my pocket. Helium10 is funding my experiments and things like that. But I still spend a lot of money. I don't really make too much money on Amazon, even though I sell a decent amount. Like I'm not 7-figure seller anymore. I'm probably just like high 6 figures, but I use it to like pay my family and stuff. But I also use it for all my profit. I use for like all my experiments, where I do stuff that a normal Amazon seller who's trying to make money is not going to do, because it's not smart, because I'm just like, let me just test this, and let me do this test listing. But anyways, that's good that I don't have to do that this month. So I was really going to start looking into that. And I've been talking to Amazon about that, and sending them all the questions like, hey, well, what about seasonal products? What happens if I'm not going to replenish a listing for a while? What happens if I don't share the buy box? If I'm maybe a wholesale? I mean, there's all these questions that really people have an idea about, but they're not 100% sure, because this is brand new. And so I'm really going to be focused on that. Me personally, I try to give Amazon the benefit of the doubt more than the pessimistic people out there who are just like, oh yeah, Amazon sucks and is out to bleed us dry. Because not because I'm like, oh, Amazon is the greatest thing in the history of the world. It's that it's in Amazon's self-interest to not do something stupid. And then if it does do something stupid, it's probably not on purpose, and they'll course correct. Like Amazon doesn't do things that's going to hurt them. And something that, we can say all day long that Amazon is buyer centric, and that's true. But at the end of the day, Amazon's not going to throw all sellers under the bus because it's going to hurt them as a business. So my first thing with the inbound placement fees is, that we've already been kind of like seeing what's going on for about a month now almost. For me, it didn't affect too much because I send, since I have my own warehouse, I don't send LTL and container for now. I'm usually using UPS carriers, and I calculated out. Yes, I'm paying more, but a lot of people don't realize that on the 15th of April, we have that rollback a little bit in the fees. And so like I calculated out, it's not like that much more. Now that's not the case for people who send LTL or containers. They're really paying a lot. Now, again, I don't want to predict, but especially with the FTC, really looking in, it's so funny that like the FTC's case against Amazon, like literally is garbage. Like the stuff that they think they gotcha on, not one Amazon seller could care about. Like, oh, Amazon prioritizes FBA prime listings. Well, no crap, Sherlock. Like we can't ship same day to customers.
Yeah.
Like we love that about Amazon. We want them to prioritize. Yeah. That's the whole reason why we use Amazon Prime. We're not going to deliver same day or next day to customers. Like, why are you trying to like gotcha on Amazon on this kind of stuff? But it's funny because this is actually something that I think, it is something that Amazon sellers are concerned about. Like if I was sending containers to Amazon, I can't split that into 20% containers, all of a sudden and route, like, yeah, it could completely kill my profitability. So I really think that there's going to be some changes on that side. Like I know it's either going to be forced on Amazon or Amazon is just gonna be like, no, this is not good. We got to pivot a little bit. So that side, I'm not too much worried on. Now the low inventories is kind of like the same thing. It's obviously not going to make sense for Amazon to penalize you if I've got low inventory on my Christmas tree ornaments or something, if I'm selling that, here in March and April, or if I purposely go out of stock on something that's seasonal. There's a lot of stuff that just doesn't make sense. And so, yeah, let's we all now have a month based on that message from Amazon to go and experiment and play and get a good grasp. I'm trying to maybe bring Amazon on the podcast too, to answer, somebody from that department to answer all of the seller questions on that. So let's see how it goes. But I'm not ready to say, oh, this is a, extinction level event or something for sellers just yet.
Yep. No, totally fair. And then my last question for you, Bradley, is just talk about some sleeper picks on the Helium10 side. I know everyone hears about Magnet, Cerebro, utilizing X-Ray. And by the way, the top 3 click products in X-Ray is amazing. Thank you guys for that update. But what do we need to be using more of that you think is often missed by sellers, or maybe you don't talk about as much through some of your podcasts or through some of your trainings that you think deserves that additional attention?
In the Chrome extension only?
Yes.
Or in the Chrome extension? One thing I think that people don't use, and it was actually in maintenance the last few weeks, so you couldn't use it if you wanted to, but once it comes back, has nothing to do on Amazon at all, but you could be on Etsy, you could be on eBay, you could be on Pinterest, you could be reading a blog, you could be watching TikTok on a desktop. You could be off of Amazon and just be inspired. Like, man, this looks like it could be something on Amazon. I wonder what the search volume is, or I wonder what products are selling well. Well, instead of having to open up Helium10 or open up, Amazon right there and then run the Chrome extension, if you hit the Chrome extension on other pages, and this is probably, I think it's going to come back next week or the week after. You hit the Chrome extension, it doesn't show like X-ray and ASIN grabber and all those things. There's just like 3 options, and one of them is called demand analyzer. So hit that, and then it gives you like this little pop-in window where you can just type in whatever keyword that you're looking at. If you're on Pinterest and you see something, it's like, hey, this coffin-shaped microphone or some new thing that you never thought about. Well, just type that in. Is this a thing on Amazon? And then it's going to actually show you the Amazon data and Helium 10 data. Hey, who's the top products for it? What are the related keywords potentially? What's the search volume? What's the search volume history? And then if it is something that looks good, okay, now go ahead and go into Helium 10 and or to Amazon, start diving down onto it. Or it could be like, nope, there's nobody searching this on Amazon. I'm just going to, continue browsing or whatever I was doing. So that's one thing, is the demand analyzer. The other thing you just mentioned, we just came out with anywhere in the search results is, hey, which one on this page is the most clicked, the top 3 most clicked products. I think that's definitely something that is important for people to understand, especially when it comes to, hey, of course, most situations, the products that are organically or sponsored in the top, first couple rows are going to have that. But it's interesting to see sometimes there's keywords where it's only the sponsored rank. You're in the top and you're not organically right. You're at the bottom of the page and you're still one of the top, or vice versa. Like maybe there's somebody who's not running sponsored ads at all for a keyword, and they're ranked, towards the top. So that's good. That's something I think that people should be looking at. Another thing that we just recently launched, and which is why I don't think many people are using it yet, not necessarily that's a sleeper, it's just new, is now when you're or two kind of things. When you're running X-ray, maybe you want to know, hey, who was in some of the other sponsored placements on the search results, and then I'm going to save those X-ray results. So like now, before we only would show you in X-ray the sponsored products, the regular, sponsored ads plus the organic ranks. Now the products that are coming up in sponsored brand ads at the very top, the widgets, like trending now widget or from our brands widget, those little Amazon sponsored widgets, the info there is coming up, and it's even more beneficial like on the product page. So if you run X-ray now on the actual product page, like maybe your product page, not only are you going to see the item that's there plus the variations, but now the products that people are running sponsored product ASIN targeting ads and sponsored display ads on your page, theoretically you kind of want some of those spots. If you've got, a lot of products in your brand, you might be running some defensive targeting campaigns so that your other products are showing up there. Well, if you just want to start keeping track of, hey, who's on my page, so maybe that you have to increase your bids on your own defensive targeting ads. Well, now just have somebody go to X-ray or go to your product page, run X-ray like maybe once a week, and start saving that, as an Excel file. And then now you'll know, all right, what are the products that are showing up in sponsored ads on my page? How many of them are mine? How many of them are other, sellers? And you might do some different strategy based on that.
So Bradley, what time frame is that for? Is that like a screenshot at that certain point in time?
That exact time.
The exact time. Got it.
So that's why you should do it like maybe once a week or something like. I think eventually, if this catches on and people are like, man, this is good, hey, we want to start seeing the data. We did that with frequently bought together. Right now, sure, you can see what's frequently bought together on the page, but then if you go into Helium 10 in black box in the product targeting tab, enter an ASIN, we'll show you like the last 30, 45 days of potentially 20 different products that have shown up and frequently bought together on there. So like if this thing kind of like catches on and people are like, hey, we want to, see a little history of this, we'll probably try and bring that in app. But right now it's just live, what you see there.
Perfect. And then my last question from my team, specifically Review Insights, Bradley. We love that tool, utilize it heavily. And maybe this is something that you could help push me in the right direction of how to look at it. But what we're trying to understand is we're trying to download all of the given reviews for a specific ASIN using Helium 10. And we know that given the fact that, Amazon has changed how they're showcasing reviews and you can't see all of them now, but if you type in that little search box, the relevant reviews will come up there. is there a way through Helium 10 that you're able to capture all of these reviews? Because we've tried to type in a bunch of little words to capture as many of them as possible, but we haven't found a way to get all of them at once. Are we missing something, or
no, that's just an Amazon UI thing. Like, it's
it?
kind of weird. Like, I don't know why Amazon doesn't want people seeing all the reviews, or why it's trying to make it hard. Now, the first thing, you always have to be signed in to your Amazon account to do it. That's going to give you the best chance to get as many reviews. But then we're kind of limited with how many we can do. Now, we're working on this new tool that will also do some like AI based sentiment analysis. Where that tool,
cool.
it will probably be able to get more reviews than just the regular simple free Chrome extension. But yeah, unless Amazon changes something, we're kind of limited now in Review Insights, unfortunately, with what you can see. And yeah, I'm hoping that Amazon rolls that back, but it's been like that for like 4 or 5 months now, or so.
Right.
So I'm worried that that's actually just kind of like a new permanent thing where Amazon just wants to make it difficult for you to be able to see the reviews.
Got it. Okay, glad we weren't missing anything there. But Bradley, I think that this was super educational and helpful. I know we only really touched on the pre-launch phase, but got your insight into a few other important topics, specifically around fees and some newer Helium 10 updates that I know we'll be utilizing on the VENDO side. So as always, it's always a pleasure to talk with you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in Hawaii for BDSS.
Indeed. And I was trying to make you hungry with my lumpia hat here, but
I am hungry.
Yeah.
There you go. Perfect. That's what I was going to say when you're talking about the Spanish keywords. It was like, where are we going with the Tagalog here?
Yes. Well, Hawaii is going to be a good place for any kind of cuisine, but I'm definitely going to hit up the some Filipino food over there.
There you go. All right. Well, thanks, Bradley. Hope everyone has a great rest of their week, and thank you for tuning in to VENDO Velocity today. Bye, everyone.
Yes.